Now I want to just add a little bit of 3D camera movement and offset the layers in 3D space just a little bit to give it even more depth. So I'll go back into my neon source, and the first thing I'm going to do is take a snapshot so I can reference this when I'm moving things around in 3D space. So I'll take a snapshot, then I'll switch from my active camera to custom view 1, which is kind of a 3/4 view of my artwork. Now I want to grab this burgers layer and bring it forward just a bit in Z space. Not a whole lot, just a bit. So if I press P on the keyboard, that brings up the position. It looks like we brought it forward about 27 pixels. I'm just going to round that off to 30. Then let's take the blue inline layer of the word Bob's. Now we've already animated the position value of this layer. If I press P to bring up the position, there are the 2 keyframes. Now if I were to just grab the Z-axis handle and move this forward, see that that adds a 3rd keyframe and it affects my animation. So I want to make sure that I'm on that 2nd keyframe before I move it, so that I'm editing the resting value of the position. And I'm actually not going to click and drag because I know I want it to be the same distance forward as the word burgers. So I'll just click on the Z position for that layer and type in -30. Now that ends 30 pixels closer to the camera. Then we'll grab the red layer of the word Bob's, press P to bring up the position keyframes, go to the 2nd keyframe, and type in -15 for the Z position. So it's halfway between the blue and the yellow. So if I were to switch to the camera tool by pressing C on the keyboard and then clicking and dragging, I can orbit around this text and you can see that there's some parallax happening between those 3 layers. Cool, I'll undo to go back to my 3/4 view. Then I want to grab the inner line of this red outline and move it forward 30 pixels. Then I'll grab the 2nd line, the outline, and move it forward 15. Then I'll push back the spatula and the burger patty by 15 pixels. Now this time I can't just click and type in the number. You can see that I repositioned both layers to the exact same position. Instead of affecting just the Z position, it copied the value of this first layer and pasted it on the 2nd layer. So I'll undo that, and this time click and drag until it's at 15. When you click and drag, it only affects the value that you have selected. So now the burger and the spatula are a little bit behind. And then I'll grab the yellow part of the flame and move it forward maybe just 5 pixels. Then I'll grab the red part of the flame and move it backwards maybe just 10 pixels. Now if I switch to my camera tool again by pressing C and rotate around, we have all these different layers to the sign. I think I want to reverse the spatula and the burger. Right now it looks like the burger is behind the spatula and it should go the other way around. So I'll select my spatula, press P, push it 15 pixels back, then grab the burger and set it back to 0. That looks better. Then I'll switch from my custom view back to my active camera. And if I click and hold on my show snapshot, you can see that everything is shifted just a little bit, but honestly, it's not enough for me to care. I'm going to take advantage of the offset position values in the main comp, so I'm not even worried about it. Now I need a 3D camera to add some more movement to this comp. So I'll come up to Layer, New, Camera. I'll make sure that 2-node camera is selected, and the preset of 35mm is fine. Make sure that Enable Depth of Field is turned off, and I'll press OK. Then I'll switch to the camera tool by pressing C on the keyboard, and then click and drag to the right so that I can position the camera down a little bit and to the left of the artwork, and I'll push it further up so that it appears that we're looking up towards this sign. And I'll set a position keyframe by pressing Option P or Alt P on a PC, then move it back to the first frame of the layer by holding Shift to have it snap to that first frame. Then I'll click and drag with the camera tool again to go to the opposite side and preview what that looks like. That's pretty cool. I think that it might move just a little bit too far, so I'm going to back this off a little bit on the 2nd keyframe. I'm also going to ease between these 2 points and then move these keyframes forward so that it takes a little bit before that camera takes off and then rotates to the other side. I also want to push in on a sign a little bit, so I'm going to cycle through the camera tools by pressing C a couple more times until I get to the Track Z camera tool. Then I'll click and drag to push the camera forward. Now not only does the camera pan from one side to the other, it pushes in as well. In fact, I'm going to pull it back just a little bit on the first keyframe. Cool, that should look good. Let's preview that. Yeah, I'm happy with that motion. Maybe I'll have it start just a little bit sooner. And one thing I noticed is that the 3 layers for the word Bob's actually come in the reverse order that I'd like them to. So I just want to swap the time positions of these 2 layers. So I'll move the yellow layer to the first frame and move the blue layer to the current frame by pressing the left bracket on the keyboard. Now the 3 layers should come in the right order. That's great. Now I think I just want the spatula, the patty, and the flames to start a little bit further in time. They come on right at the beginning, and I think they should come on just a little bit later. So I'll grab my flames, my spatula, and the burger, and then drag them forward until probably right about here. Preview that. Great. Now I think I'll just slow the camera movement down by about a second, so it takes a little bit longer to get to that final point. And I think we're finished. All right, yeah, that looks great. Let's take a look at what it looks like with the entire glow built. So there you have it. I'm pretty happy with the way that looks considering how quickly I was able to throw it together. Hopefully this gets your creative juices flowing so you can kind of see the possibilities that you have access to. You can apply this neon sign look to tons of different types of animations. And because you built it to be completely customized, it's totally unique to you and 100% open to your own design.